Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our time together. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with Tricia Fiske.
Good morning, everybody.
And today we're going to talk about our unquestioned assumptions about abundance. I was just getting ready for today, and I was thinking about all the ways we sometimes don't even realize we're holding back our abundance through our assumptions about abundance. And I got this really clearly when I was reading Conversations with God. There's this great he in one of the books, Neil Donald Walsh talks about there's 10 assumptions we make about God. And as I was reading those and incubating on those a long time ago, I was like, oh my gosh, those are the same assumptions we use around wealth and abundance and money. And so I was just going to read the 10 off so that we have them as a part of our conversation today. But that, these assumptions that we have about God or this unlimitedness can also become the things that get in the way of, and I call them a scarcity agreement. They're kind of things we've learned as a part of being in scarcity, and then we've got to flip them to abundance. So the 10 scarcity agreements, and I'm just going to kind of read through them because I think they're easy to kind of internalize and feel is that that there's a separation between us and our abundance. And I think this is kind of easy to feel. We've talked a lot about this, that there's it's it and then there's us, and we're trying to get to it. And of course the new agreement is that there is no separation between us and our abundance. The second one is that there's a judgment around what's appropriate, around what we should have, what we should do in order to experience it. But really, there is no judgment from the unlimited. It's just, as you wish, the answer is always yes. The third one is that we're not worthy to have it. We have to earn it. There's that we're not good enough. And of course, the truth is, of course we are. We're a perfect being of energetic love. Why wouldn't we be worthy of anything and everything? The fourth agreement is that it's conditional, that there's an if then else. You can't have it until. We've talked a lot about this. It's
Right, right.
unconditional. Um, the fifth one is that there's some kind of sacrifice necessary. We have to give something up. We have to um and we've talked about I have a huge martyr thing. It's all about, oh, I don't, I shouldn't get it. We have to sacrifice. And of course, that's not true. Sacrifice is not necessary. The sixth one is that even scarcity and limitation exist, which I think is really interesting. I think, I used to call it fixed pie syndrome, that there's a certain amount to go around, and if you don't get that, then you can't have it. And of course, from an abundance perspective, limitation and scarcity don't exist. The seventh one is that, and I think this is a corollary to that, that it's hard to come by. And these are all things we just kind of agree to that, and we believe them and then they become true for us, that it's hard. It's not, it's easy. It's a turning on the faucet, like we've talked about before. Um, this is an interesting one that we're going to be impacted negatively. That if we get it, like we'll lose our family or we'll lose our loved ones, or, and again, this whole allowing this flow doesn't have to mean anything negative. It can always be positive, or it can always feel glorious, I guess is what I want to say. The ninth one is that it needs to be appropriate. And I know Tricia and I have talked a lot about, it has to come you have to do certain things in a certain way, that it has to be
Right.
appropriate, And then, of course, people get really mad. Why are they experiencing so much abundance? They don't deserve it. And it's like, well, there is no rules. It's kind of like an unlimited flow here. And then the fifth one, that it could be withheld from us. I'm
Ah,
sorry, the 10th one, that it could be withheld from us. So I know I kind of went through those really quickly, but I wanted to get those out there because we each have our own, kind of favorite ones. And I'm sure if Tricia gave her top 10, they would sound very different, but probably very similar in that, we have these scarcity agreements and assumptions about how abundance gets to us and if it can come and under what circumstances. And and I think that's what the key conversation is today is how do we hold it back from ourselves so that we talked about armoring last time, so that we can allow it to, kind of start peeling away these again. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, Tricia, I think we should really take each one of these or take two a week and just kind of flesh it out a little bit because I do think there's a lot in there for us
Yeah.
to free ourselves from. So which one
Right.
kind of resonated with you as I was going through it?
Read them again, just go
Really,
through them.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to do it from a scarcity perspective, should start from abundance, but why not? That it's separate from us, that there's judgment about it, that we're not worthy of it, that there's a condition that has to be met, that some kind of sacrifice is necessary, that limitation even exists, that it's hard to come by, that it will negatively impact us, that it has to be appropriate, and that it can be withheld from us. Some outside force can withhold it.
I think the one that's standing out to me is that it has to be appropriate, right? Because I'm in service work,
Mm-hmm.
IT, and there's a big belief in service work that you're not worth as much as somebody who's in business.
Right. Yeah. Yoga
You
teacher.
know,
I
yeah,
mean, right.
right, right. Um, yeah, that there's a condition on what you do for how much you deserve for the work that you do. That's a, yeah. And
And the interesting thing is, even though our minds say, well, of course that doesn't make sense, there's something deep in our in our cellular structure. And it's probably from, eons, as long as,
right,
probably from, church or historic religious people, if you're doing God's work or if you're doing good work, that's the remuneration in and of itself, which I respect, but it can be an and, not an or.
right. When I was in a corporate job, I expected to be paid really well for what I did. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
when I started teaching yoga and that was my profession, um, I felt I was fortunate to get paid for what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and
Yeah.
that's a big shift. Yeah.
And I remember you making a commitment to being a yoga teacher and, and saying, I'm going to make a living at this, which was at the time, that was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Sorry. But energetically, it was really out of the box to think about making a living as a yoga teacher. I think things are evolving thanks to people like you and other, master teachers that are saying it can be a viable life calling and remuneration at the same time.
Right. Although I think the it's changing to post COVID. Um, I see studios are struggling a bit to stay open, and they seem to be adding more fitness to
Mhm.
their to what they offer. But what I see that encourages me is I see more professions wanting to incorporate yoga, like mental health and teaching, academics,
Mhm.
want nursing,
Mhm.
physical therapy, stuff like that, wanting to bring more yoga in to what they're offering. And I think that's a really positive thing happening.
Absolutely. And, and like you were saying, I don't, from an unlimited perspective, you're in joy, if this is what you love to do, I do think that it's okay to expect to have payment. And I also think, it's good, like you were saying about appropriate. I think we get really tied up in appropriate, and that's kind of a limitation in and of itself, right? And so
Right.
what
It
if we
is.
said this is appropriate for me, and I get there's, the society thing, but I think as soon as we break free of our agreement, then it starts to break free in all the energy around us. It's kind of us holding us hostage by some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Having a belief that one thing is worth more than another, that's what you create.
Right. And I do think, like before we started talking, you were talking about, and we a while back talked about alchemizing. When you catch one of these beliefs, say, "Hey, I choose to." And, well, first, do I choose to clear it or let it
Right.
go or convert it into, something more aligned with who I am in my abundance journey now? But sometimes really giving yourself permission to say, I don't want to go ahead with that, go forward with that. And I'm
Right.
thinking about the clean out story you were going to share.
Right. Right. So, all right. So the book that I'm reading, It's Not Your Money by Tasha Silver, has 5 steps that you practice over these 80 days. And step number 2 is start to clean your house. And what she says is that an important part of opening to receive is making room to receive. And the easiest way is to start by cleaning your house. So I've had 2 things happen, which were kind of interesting. One is I had a closet just pull out of the wall and fall onto the floor. And
Wow.
I mean, right. And I mean, I heard this bang and
It
cats
just
looked
came
up
out.
and
You weren't even in
right,
the room and it just came
right. I was
right.
watching TV and it was just boom. I thought it was somebody upstairs from me fell, but it was, yeah. Anyway, I had all this really heavy stuff stored up in this closet that I don't need and don't use. When I had an entire container full of empty picture frames, I had a box full of cords and stuff
Mm,
that I don't, can go in the garage, doesn't need to be in my house. I just all this stuff. So that closet got cleaned out, the shelf got put back in, and now it's just fine. And then yesterday I was cleaning, and one of her other suggestions is when you're cleaning, light incense. So you're doing, whole freshening up and clearing, not only clearing stuff, but energy around the house. So I decided to look at my shoes and see if I needed to throw any shoes out. And I found a pair of shoes. And I should say, I probably haven't worn these shoes in 12 years. And I found old, dried up cat poop on them. And I don't know how long. I mean, it was old. It didn't smell or anything.
right.
Right. So
Petrified.
all the shoes got pulled out, right, of the
Right.
closet. The floor got scrubbed. Shoes that needed to go went in the garbage, and the others are going to Goodwill. I have a car full of stuff to go to Goodwill today. So
Right.
it feels great to do that. It makes me feel, yeah, like I have room to receive.
Right. They're creating
Be,
that spaciousness. And that's
right,
kind of what these, looking at these scarcity agreements or, the things, those old limitations and saying, can I clear these out? Or can I, what can I give to Goodwill and what do I want to keep?
right,
And a lot of times it's stuff that's just stuffed in our closets, our mental, emotional closets that comes crashing
right,
down,
right, right.
sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally. I love that you weren't even there, and all of a sudden you set the intention for this, clearing, and it's happening. It's
Boom.
like
I
forces you to, right?
right. I wouldn't have even, that would have been probably the last closet I would have looked into.
Right,
So it right, it does, it feels really good. It feels um it's those things where when stuff starts to get stacked up or piled up, we don't even go look at it anymore because we don't want to even dig through what's in there. So if we do that in a closet in our house, imagine what we do with our psyches, with the
Yes.
stuff that I don't even want to look at that. So let's just, yeah,
Stuff
bury
it.
that some
Right.
more, right? Stuff it
Right.
down in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I think I've really, from doing work like this, I've really come to appreciate when something surprises me and pops up, because it's an invitation to clean out,
Yes.
and right, it's an invitation to clean out another closet, the closet in my head, the closet in my body where I'm holding on to something and it's been there, stuffed there so long.
Right. And I thank you for saying that, because I think that's a perfect way to summarize it is, and sometimes it's worth just saying, kind of getting some of the things out there. And that's what I would encourage people to do, is kind of journal about, well, what are some of my assumptions about abundance, or, the limitations to my abundance, where, because when you start journaling, you start noticing these are just things that I've accumulated, like you said, it's
Right.
stuffed into my mental and emotional closet, and then it's like, oh well, what do I do with them? Or I don't have time to deal with them, so I keep stuffing them, which is kind of a classic thing, I don't want to, I don't got time to deal with that. And I can think of a couple of my friends who are actively, if I deal with that, that's gonna cause me to have to go in places I don't want to go and look at things I don't want to look at. And so I'm not doing it. It's gonna melt me down, or it's gonna, put me into a crying space. And I get it. I totally get it, but it doesn't go away until till we, it's like that shoe. That shoe with the
Right.
shit on it is in the closet, whether you like it or not. And,
Right.
at some point it's gonna, hopefully you get to it, and, you free up all the ick out of there. And then it's
Right.
free and it's
Right.
spaceful.
And sometimes going back and looking at that stuff is fun. I mean, not everything is a bad memory. There's some,
Totally.
yeah, there's some
Yeah.
fun stuff to look at too. Um,
Totally. Yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
oh, that's who I was. Oh, that was nice. Oh, that's
right,
cool.
right. Really, I wore those shoes.
Right?
Right.
Yeah,
God.
thank God fashion changes, right? Yes, yeah, absolutely. And thank you for saying that, because, there are things, and there are things like the appropriateness thing. I think appropriateness still is legitimate. We still live in a society, the society is still evolving and changing like us. So, and we don't want to be offended, whatever, to people. So I do think there are layers of appropriateness where, and layers to all of these. But,
Right.
they're kind of getting at the nuggets of, why would I assume limitation? Why would I assume that some outside force can withhold my abundance or my wherewithal? Those are things that, especially since, and, I love yoga for that reason, because it puts us in a place of unity. And then you realize that all of these are just ideas and notions that us humans come up with. They're not of the divine source that we come from. And I think, when you're in those moments in a yoga class or in your yogic life, it really presents to you the opportunity to go, man, is that really for me? Do I
Mhm.
want that? Um, and and I've talked a lot about, for me, these that, that it's hard to come by, then the conditionality, that's the one that really has always jumped out at me, that, the right, wrong, good, bad conditionality of abundance is something that I've totally embraced. But it's again, it's just an idea. I mean, it's an idea that we have here on earth, but we're earthlings seconds, we're divine beings first. And I think that divine being part of us has access to a way around even our earth ideas.
Well, it does. And that's one of the things, again, that's so important about doing this process is once I start to realize that I have the ability to clean out that closet, to let go of the stuff I'm stuffing and hoarding in here, That's
Mm,
powerful.
mm,
That's really, it's not only relief,
mhm.
but it's powerful. It's um
Empowering. Yeah.
in very empowering. And again, I just don't think we realize the ability, we don't have the ability to change what's happening around us in the world, but we absolutely have the ability to change what we hold on to, what we are connected to, what we, how we want to live. I mean, and I know it's oversaid so much. It's always about how you react to something, never about what's happening to you. But it's just, I really don't think we totally grasp that. But once we start, even with the smallest things, well, I can choose to let go of that. I can choose to clean out a closet. It's very empowering. And it, for me, it makes me wonder, what else?
Mhm,
What else
mhm,
can I clean up? What else can I let go of? You know, you and I picked the word joy for this year. And I just think it's a lot more digging out of stuff than I would have realized.
mhm,
When we
mhm.
chose the word joy, my expectation was it'll come to us. But no, it's like I'm cleaning out the closet to find it, that it's already here. I just have so much junk in the closet that I don't see it when I open those closet doors. I don't see it shining at me,
Mhm.
but it's
Perfectly said.
there.
I love that. Yeah, it's there. It's just it's hidden in the back behind all the shoes
Right.
and the
Right.
paperwork and the stuff I didn't want to deal with. And it's in there. It's in there. And yeah, I
Right.
love that. And it comes shining out. And thank you for saying that. I think you really nailed it when you said it that way, that the joy is available. And that's what we've been talking about all along. And as we create our abundance story and we create our abundance energy field, I want to call it, or our wealth or whatever, it's like putting on a fresh outfit, that is of our own creation, and it is designed specially by us, for us. And
Right.
and you go out into the world and you shine, like you said, your uniqueness. And I think that's the best we can do sometimes, is just be that, be us, in our fullness, without some of that baggage or those old agreements. And that helps us walk in the world in a very generous way, in a very abundant way, in a very joyous way. And that's our greatest gift to ourselves and to people that we interact with. So thank you for saying it that way. Like you said, you keep thinking, and that's another assumption about abundance, right? If I do this, then it'll come. And like you said,
Right.
it's in the back of the closet. It's always been there.
Right.
It's always been there. The joy's always been there. Um, the where everything that we've always wanted has already been there. And I think that's one of the most important abundance, unquestioned assumptions we have, is that it's something outside of us. And if it's outside of us, then we have to go and figure out how to get it, right?
Right.
And that's where it all starts, right? Okay, so I got to be good enough, and I got to learn how to be a certain way, and all those conditions that come around under the assumption is that I've got to go find it, instead of it's right here, right now. Probably the biggest misabundance assumption is that it's outside and it's separate.
Right. Right. That we've got to do something to get it to come to us.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's a good place to wrap this, is that, as we clean out our closet and kind of catch some of these abundance agreements, if you catch this one that we just were talking about, that it's separate and it's outside. No, it's always been inside. And all we're doing is clearing out the closet, the mental, emotional, or any of the things we've thought that
Right.
make us think that it's not here, right here, that it's not with us, as us, for us. as a part of us. Boy, that's a great gift to yourself. And I listen to so many, you know, amazing, beautiful teachers. That's pretty much all they say all the time. You know, stop searching, stop seeking, be found. It's found. It's here. Do you want to add anything before we wrap?
Oh, yeah, just real quick, I was going to say, and that is one of the gifts of yoga is bringing you into the present moment. Like, I can't do this breath work if I'm not here present. I can't do this pose if I'm not paying attention. Otherwise, I'm going to fall and crash. Once we're in the present moment, we have access. The present moment brings us access to joy, abundance, prosperity, getting right.
Thank you. Beautiful. So this week, as you kind of are going along in your day, being present, if something comes up that you notice, wow, is that an abundance agreement that I've made or unquestioned? And that's the hard part. They're unquestioned, right? So, you know, that unquestioned, it's separate from us. Try and catch the ones that we're unquestioning. Let them show you so that you could say, hey, I'm going to take that one out of my closet and or replace it with this new understanding that it's all here right now, unlimited, and certainly unconditional. Have a great week, everyone. And thank you for joining us, and we'll talk next week. Have a great week.
Bye, everybody.